Nina Winkel was born Nina Koch on May 21, 1905 in Borken, Germany. As a youngster, she was confined to her bed for 2 years due to a rare bone disease. Books, paper, pencils, and her father's piano playing through those long days kept up her spirits until a cure was found. Then, Nina plunged headlong into a lifetime of creativity. Her serious study of the arts at various schools in Germany was an on and off again thing as the rise of the Third Reich managed to keep life and learning off balance. With her husband George Winkel, the couple was living in Paris, but soon fled to the United States just before the City of Lights fell to the Nazis. Taking a job as a cleaning lady, Nina quickly learned English and joined a New York artist studio then called the Clay Club. It was there that she first started working in terracotta. These early works show Nina's natural skills as an artist, as well as her remarkable knowledge of history. But throwing clay pots was not for Nina. She had launched a lifelong mission to portray the human condition of all peoples, her deep love of her God, and the power and magic in the human female form. Cecilia Esposito is the director of the Plattsburgh State Art Museum.
I believe that Nina's work is under-recognized. We are spending a good amount of time right now researching and writing a book that we published in 2013, late 2013. And it will devote a lot of energy to the ideas that she put forth as a sculptress. She was interested in the human figure, emotion, the effects of the war, the Bible, all of her interests. And she certainly is an important early 20th century woman artist. And I think that's very important to recognize her as such.
But when Nina tired of working in clay and terracotta, she took on a bigger challenge, a challenge that was as big as she was, a welder's torch. Nina Winkel was the first woman in New York City to be granted a welder's license. And in 1959, she moved from working in clay to creating welded copper sculptures. Her work was now being seriously recognized, shown and exhibited by museums and private collectors around the world. In the mid-1960s, Nina and George moved to the Keene Valley, near the high peaks of the Adirondacks. And it wasn't long before the Plattsburgh State Art Museum came knocking.
Well, SUNY Plattsburgh has a long tradition in supporting the arts for the campus, including the fact that it's a liberal arts college. And so the relationship with a visual artist such as Nina Winkel, who was living in the region, it was very important to represent her here, the work that she was creating in this region. And so the college spent a good bit of time to, look at her work, exhibit it, and when the opportunity presented itself to capture this space and devote it to her work, they were very, very excited to do so.
Nina and George were thrilled, pleased beyond all expectations that Nina and her collection had found a home for the ages, surrounded no less by classrooms where young artists were just getting started on their careers. And if any one of them had any doubts about their abilities, they needed only to spend a little time in Nina's gallery.
From the student's perspective, this space actually creates a wonderful environment, not only for the art students, but for the education students as we teach alternative methods of teaching young people. They will give tours in this space, they will look at the sculpture, they will discuss the emotion and all types of activities that are happening within the actual objects. So the space is really dedicated for the entire campus and inspires on many different levels.
In the winter of 1990, George and Nina's car slid out of control on an icy road and slammed into a guardrail. George survived, but Nina slipped into a coma, and 3 months later, just a few days after her 85th birthday, Nina succumbed to her injuries. To be sure, Nina Winkel's work is full of passion and honesty, and it really shows that she believed in mankind, all of mankind, regardless of their race, their color, or their creed, or even the centuries that they lived in. But perhaps the greatest piece of artwork that Nina made in her entire career was a very personal one just for her and her beloved husband, George. It can be found just outside the main entrance to the Myers Fine Arts Building on the SUNY campus, as a kind of welcome to all who are inspired by a career in the fine arts. Nina titled it Song of Songs, and it speaks to her lifelong respect for humankind, as well as her lifelong love for her husband, George. There is only one other casting of Song of Songs, and it marks the final resting place for both Nina and George Winkel in a small cemetery near the high peaks of the Adirondacks. But to be sure, Nina lives here through the largest single collection of her works to be found anywhere, the Nina Winkel Sculpture Gallery.